Oh, Iascaviciashimielo. So this is part of the actual gardening and growing stuff aspect of the channel that we're going to be going into. This is basically my very first time ever doing sprouts in this medium. I worked at a microgreen greenhouse where it was nothing like this. We had big trays with fabric that went on them, and then we put the seeds on, and they sat in troughs that were custom built for that. I was watching Keep On Growing's channel, Mike Van Duzy. He has a version of these that were made out of plastic, which is fine. You know, I just assume stay away from as much plastic as possible, and this is the only option I saw, which ended up being about half the size I anticipated. But honestly, until I get my head around it, and I've done it a few times, small is just fine by me. And like I said, I do prefer the stainless steel as far as being able to grow in that. So the product that we got, I just ordered this online, and it recommended this with these when I ordered them. They're just organic sprouts. Like I said, when I was doing the microgreens, it was daikon and peas and sunflowers and radish and or daikon, but a couple other different kinds too. But yeah, so this is my first one with this. We go through, and it says 5 days start to finish. I don't necessarily think that's quite true. I do have another part that's prepped to go in as I'm doing this, and it's been on its 4th day. And so what it says when we're doing these, you're just supposed to like level these out so it's a single layer on the screen so that they're not growing over each other. And so for me, since I'd never done it before, didn't have an actual measurement. I mean, now I figure out it's, you know, about a tablespoon and a half, so I could prep that next time just like that. So yeah, I just want to be able to spread these out and kind of see that they're a single layer without piling up on top of each other. So in my greenhouse, I've dedicated just a little shelf with its own fluorescent T2 light that'll be for the microgreens, and hopefully I can get these in a cycle. I got 3 of these trays in a single order. I'm hoping that we can hopscotch them so that our household has enough sprouts to be able to have sandwiches and salads and all that kind of good stuff. There's 3 teenagers and 2 adults eating here, and I've converted the other half of my garage. I'm in my office side of the garage, and on the other side of the wall here I have a year-round greenhouse going that's all fluorescent and incandescent lighting. And my hope is to develop a year-round program that would be able to complement the greenhouses that I'm trying to design and create. Again, this is me just stumbling through. I came through a different angle as far as gardening and growing. I started out making soaps and balms and holistic medicines, and I found that it's hard to get stuff that's truly chemical free. In order to do that, I realized I need to start gardening and growing, and that's kind of the side I went into. And then realizing, working at the greenhouses, organic greenhouses, the mandate chemicals that are using there are not safe, but it's labeled organic. So I wanted to be able to have truly organic, and I came to the quick conclusion that the only way to do that was to do it myself, start to finish. And I am totally against plastics and all that, but it is what it is at this point. Until we have affordable options that are mass produced and available, it is what it is. I'd rather have people growing out of an empty water jug than buying from a grocery store at this point, with all the recalls and all these other things going on. And it's just hard to say who's growing your food and who's touching your stuff, and to me those things matter. Again, these are going to be just me stumbling through and trying to figure these things out best as I can. So we got a single layer here, so at this point I'm just going to try to transfer this as delicately as possible. Oh, that's delicate. And so there's 3 different layers for this. You have your basic tray that you could go directly in this with the sunflowers and peas and that, and then these are the bigger, like the daikons and radishes that you could grow on here. This is the much thinner one for the sprouts. And so that's what I was going with these, because I wanted to have another. I'm going to give another round with microgreens and see how that goes. But so once these are in here, it's just a matter of putting a layer of water in there for them to soak up overnight. I just do overnight, 12 to 14 hours possibly. And then I do use Keep On Growing's Kratky mix that he uses for prepping the seeds. And we'll go right over here to this. I'll stick this. I got a little germination box in the other room. And so these, like I said, I put in the germination spot 3-4 days ago. And this is where they're at now. So this is, according to what I watched on the videos, this looks like about appropriate for it to be transferring over to this spot here. And like I said, the bag says 5 days start to finish. Seed to sprout in 5 days. Try to be delicate with all these new little stems. I got clunky hands, so it is what it is. I got a little spatula I was gonna use, I couldn't find it, so get my hands right in there. Try not to be too abusive. Gotta get all of them in there. And now with these other things growing too, it has kind of homogenized as far as hanging on to each other, so you don't have quite the issue of the seed roll off and all that kind of disbursement when you're doing the dry thing. And like now I said, what I figured out, it's about a tablespoon and a half, you know. So, but to get to that conclusion, I had to spill a bunch of seeds everywhere. Alright, now like I said, this will go into the germination station overnight. This will go under the light on the shelf, and we'll give you the progress here in the next couple days when we harvest it and all that. Alright, kind of jump back in here. So I made some mistakes, and this is exactly kind of why I'm wanting to do these videos like this, because I'm coming in first time for a lot of this stuff. And I did work in a microgreen greenhouse, and we didn't do anything like this. We had these mats that went in these trays. We soaked our seeds, put them in there. So it was a similar thing, but it was definitely very different. And as far as using these things, I've never used anything like these before. And so I was really coming into the process with like zero confidence. For good reason, I'm finding out. When I first put these in here, I put them under the light, and they dried out like super fast. So there's a lot of like dead seeds on here that, you know, that started to sprout and then stop. I did this additional one for this, and these ones grew a lot faster, and they're like rooting out the bottom. And when I was watching the video of it being done, that's one of the things he pointed out was not to mess with that kind of root system down there. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer them on here. I'm going to try to be as gentle as I can, but that was definitely a mistake. And so I'm going to kind of go back for this last one. I'm going to do the way I did the other ones, except for I'm just going to put the dry seeds on here and get them wet and keep them moist until they start sprouting, and then kind of go from there, because I have a strong feeling that these ones are not, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to jinx it or whatever, but all the jostling and stuff, that it just may not do as good. And these ones are obviously struggling. I think that this way will probably be the most production, and honestly the easiest way. Like I said, every video I watched, it showed people soaking them and then getting them started to where they're breaking open, but man, these things took days to break open and kind of get to where they were just sticking out a little bit. Whereas these ones, I mean, you can't really see, but yeah, these things are like rooting like big time, and they did it like in half the time of these ones. And I experienced that in the garden this year. It was weird. Like I had planted all my peppers and tomatoes like as seed in the season. It took them forever to germinate, and when they finally did come out, some of the plants grew to 2 feet in a month, and the other ones were still just little guys. So I don't know, maybe it's the air I'm in that has do things so differently. I guess moon phases, I don't know. But yeah, they're reacted very differently, and they both came from the same bag, same water. Like I said, I'm going to transfer these over here, and I'm going to try to be as gentle as I can. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it onto here and then turn that onto there. And try to keep it as gentle as possible. There. Yeah, it's already like a little block there, right? Kind of moisten it up and spread it out a little bit. This is not just tap water. My house, we have a spring-fed well. Pretty fortunate. So this is like some of the best water I've ever drank in my life. It's like icy cold and delicious, and it's just perfect. My house is the only one. All the neighbors, they're off the water table. It all smells like iron and sulfur. It's stinky. Wiggle these out a little bit. Try to be as gentle as I can. I don't want to really disturb that root system more than I have to, but I definitely don't think I'll ever do it like this again. I'll probably just go on here, and if nothing else, like I said, those little fabrics, I can just get one and put it on here. And honestly, I think I'd probably rather use the fabric than the screen they send anyway. I have a feeling that cleaning these things is going to be my demise. Try to spread these out as good as I can without being a nightmare to them. Yeah, because you want the roots to stay pointing down for the best continued growth instead of just taking them all apart like that. So that's why with these ones, I want to try to keep them all and keep it right there, you know. I gotta get some more containers. I stole my wife's these cupcake tin things or whatever. So these ones are about as good as they're gonna get. I'll see how these ones react. These ones I know are gonna be kind of stifled, but we're still gonna get some food out of it. I think it's mostly the radishes that are coming through, but it looks like quite a bit is coming through on this one anyway. I just hope I didn't ruin their day by transferring them like this in this condition. So I think you want to maintain as little movement as possible, I guess, once they start going. And I'm just gonna spread these out on here. I'm gonna kind of wet this first. It was about a scoop and a half. Some more. Try to keep them rolling all over creation. And these things like to go everywhere when they're dry. Everywhere but where you want, at least for me. I think that can take just a little bit more. Alright. And like I said, seed to sprout in 5 days on there. And we're going on a few days, 4 days, 5 days. Like I said, I got my wife's muffin tins here. Alright, put these up, see what happens. Alright, so this is the last part. This is the first one I did, the second one and the third one. So you can see I obviously made some mistakes. Or I guess I had things didn't come out as I wanted them to. They weren't necessarily mistakes, because I did them how the little video thing said to do them. They said to soak them, put them in there. Unfortunately, I did let these ones dry, and that's why they ended up like this. So I soaked them, put them out there, put them under my light, and then a few hours later I came out and they were pretty crispy dry already. And so I got them wet again, but yeah, that obviously is no good. This one germinated really slow. This one germinated incredibly fast, but they had a root bundle like locked together before I got it on here, and it just created like this mass that's never really got going. So what I did with these ones, I got the screen wet, put the seeds on there, got them wet again, and just let them grow like that. And that worked out just fine. I could see how having these first two experiences would be kind of disheartening. And honestly, this is kind of unnecessary. I feel like a lot of the stuff I could get just fine what I needed, you know, just putting a piece of one of those grow mats in here and just letting it go and do its thing without having to mess with all this other stuff. So I don't know, is it worth it? I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna keep going and try doing more and see if it's not something that doesn't level out as far as my ability. Again, these are the ones that I first tried. Yeah, be careful, don't let things like that is like probably the golden rule, don't let it dry out. This one too, again, the instructions say get them rooting or sprouting first, but if you watch Keep on Growing, one of the things that Mr. Van Duzy points out is you don't want to get those roots flopping around and stuff once they start sticking out, and to let them do their thing, which is what we did here. You know, so these grow at kind of different paces. Some of these are getting probably a little closer to microgreens. For the most part, we're looking at sprouts here. So this isn't, I didn't do this at all how the directions said to do, and it turned out the best. So I'll try to harvest these here. I rinsed them out really good, see what we got, and I'm gonna have a salad. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and leave these under the light until my next salad. I'd say that this at least was a win. I say again, I could see how it would kind of be disheartening for somebody just experimenting in their house. I would say the screw-ups are probably some of the most important parts, because it guides you to what not to do, right? Even if it's what the instructions said, that's, I guess, would be so disheartening is that following the instructions led to disaster, whereas a YouTube lookup is what saved the day. So. And again, with these things, you don't have to harvest them all at once. I prefer to have living food if possible. One of the books that I'll be reading here coming up is China Study, and garden to table is one of the important things that they talk about in that as far as overall health. So again, I hope some of this helps in your endeavors, and appreciate your time.